I love take 27. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the HeleyCast. We are still having our promotional deal for that Carolyn Spice, the bottle. If you subscribe to the social media platforms such as Facebook, Healy the Comedian, Twitter, the HeleyCast, and Instagram at forgot_my_Healy. Healy is spelled Heeley. Go like and subscribe. Also, go like and subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. If you do all 4 of these social media platforms or video platforms, your chances of winning this bottle of Carolyn Spice is higher, raised. Yeah. Guys, today I have a amazing guest today. He is just an all-around amazing man. He took time out of his day to come do this for us. He is district representative for my district, 33, here in the state of Oklahoma. We went over and just talked about our state government and just discussed what was going on and just dove deep into it. And it was an amazing experience, and I can't thank him more or enough that he spent, 90 minutes on this podcast. Guys, please help me welcome John Talley. John, welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, it's exciting to be here. This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast, so I'm pretty excited.
I'm happy to have you. This is awesome. You're my biggest guest I've had. This is an honor to have you on.
Well, thank you.
So let's dive into it. You're a representative for District 33. What does District 33, what are you covering here in the state of Oklahoma? What counties?
Okay, well, it's basically all of Payne County except Stillwater, city of Stillwater. So I have all around Stillwater. Okay. And so I believe you're in my area right now.
Yep.
But I go all the way to Cushing, Perkins, Ripley, Yale, Coyle, all those cities I represent.
Okay. Before we dive more into your political background, let's talk about some of your what you did before.
Okay.
Even. I just want to get that out of the way, what your coverage is and who you are representing and everything. But let's get to know you and see what were you doing before politics?
Okay.
Because I know you were a minister or ordained
minister.
Still am. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a man of God, and
I try to be. As a kid growing up, OSU wrestling is the best in the world.
Yes.
So coming from a small town in southwest Oklahoma, Anadarko, I came up here to wrestle for OSU, met my wife, and we stayed here. And so my first job out of college was being a youth pastor at University Heights Baptist Church.
Okay.
And did that for 17 years. And, I'd go up to the high school all the time. Since I wrestled for OSU, I helped coach Stillwater High School.
Okay.
And Stillwater Junior High.
You did football too, didn't you?
Well, I just helped.
Okay.
I was actually a coach.
For wrestling.
For wrestling. And and then got a bigger audience with FCA. So I went in 1993, I started working for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Okay.
And which encompassed 38 high schools and junior highs around Stillwater. And then I had OSU and Langston universities.
And what does Fellowship of Christian Athletes What do you do for?
Good question. Even if you don't like sports, people recognize the platform of sports,
right?
And so we're trying to influence kids and athletes to use that platform to let people know about God. And so junior high kids, high school kids, college kids. So we do a lot of stuff in schools. We're not right now because of COVID.
Correct.
But, we'll have a game day. So a lot of kids will come to a OSU football game. And then after the game or before the game, some of the OSU athletes will come and talk to kids about God. And so using that platform, you can let people know about
So
things.
you excuse me. So basically, you get to express and help just spread the word of God.
Right.
I went to high school here, so I know you pray well. It's more than that. Like you also like for high school. When I was in high school, you did is it spelunking or not spelunking, but
Well, we did spelunking, which is climbing through caves,
Yep.
but we also did rappelling.
Rappelling, that's the word I was looking
Okay.
for. We repelled in Langston or Lawton.
Lawton.
God, my bad. And we did trust falls. Like I noticed with teams that you helped or help still, it's about more trust. You have to trust your teammates. You know,
Right.
that's what the whole message was when for me at least when you were
Sure.
doing all those things.
Okay.
And do you still have the big teeter-totter?
Still got the largest teeter-totter in the world that travels.
Yes.
And so how do you get to influence people? And one of the ways that I found is by using my college students, my college athletes. We would invite high school, junior high, college teams to our house. I built a course at our house where kids could, and youth groups, and
Right.
We've had companies. I'm trying to think of some. There was a Microsoft company that came out.
Wow. And
Xerox Corporation out of Oklahoma City came to our house. A bunch of teacher groups, middle school groups came
Right.
to our house.
And it's all team building.
And it's all team building.
Okay.
And so I use my college students and high school students to coach other people.
So you basically turn them into influencers to
Right.
help. Okay, that's
Exactly.
really cool. That's awesome. That's like I noticed that when I was in high school, like you would bring college football players or athletes over, and to me that's like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Whoa, he's 6'7" and he can run through a brick wall. Holy cow, yeah.
Exactly.
That kind of stuff. Like I remember working on a house with you for you as well. I remember one of the football players just lifted like 4 or 5 big old logs, and I was just like, I'll grab one.
Yep.
Holy cow, those guys are strong. How did you get how did you incorporate into the university here? Like, basically, how'd you get your foot in the door? Because
Good question. Back in the 80s, the preacher at our church, Charlie Baker, was the chaplain for the OSU football team. And then when he left, I was using the college students that came to our church to influence my youth group. Well, I just kept doing that with the college students, going out to speak at schools.
and it turned into athletes eventually.
Well,
Or
I use college students that are athletes and non-athletes.
Okay.
I want you to go talk to kids and influence them.
okay,
And so right now, because I got into politics, I shrunk my area. Instead of 38 schools, now I have 13 right around Stillwater.
okay.
And
Is Stillwater High School still included in that?
yes,
Okay,
Stillwater
okay.
High School, Stillwater Junior High, Stillwater Middle School.
Yeah, like Stillwater is an interesting town because they have a middle school. A lot of other towns only have junior high and high school.
Right. But Coach Gundy lets me use college football players, especially. And like, there's 2 guys right now working for a lady, cutting some trees down and tearing out a fence and stuff. Athletes in college, it's hard for them to have a part-time job.
Absolutely, yeah.
And their scholarship check doesn't pay for everything.
Correct.
And so I find them odd jobs because of the ice storm. We cut down about 35 trees.
That must have produced quite a bit of work for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the kids made, $500 to $1,000 over the past couple of months.
But nothing insane,
Oh,
obviously.
no.
But let's dive straight into that with the ESPN whole thing.
They came out in 2013.
Right. This is
Yeah.
old news, obviously, but they assumed you were dishing out millions of dollars.
Right.
But like you said, they make $500 to $1,000.
Well, they make anywhere from $10 to $15 an hour, depending on the job. I sent some guys to do move some furniture for a lady, and I think it took them an hour, and she paid them $25 each.
See,
But we fill out forms for the NCAA, so all that's reported
okay. So then what was the whole deal with ESPN? If you were filling out paperwork with the NCAA, how did ESPN even assume you were paying them?
Well, it wasn't ESPN, Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated, I stand corrected.
They wanted to write a story.
Okay.
And they came down here and investigated, and they found several people that were rich, that were maybe not doing things the right way with athletes, but they were afraid to report on them. And so they just decided that they saw that I worked a lot of kids, and they just wanted to make a story. Because they made up that story about me. They made up stories about football players having sex with
everything.
Yes, they fabricated so much stuff. It was fake news.
Right.
But they did sell a lot of magazines. And so I sued them. I didn't win because I couldn't prove that they were lying, even though...
But they slandered your name.
Right. But
so the lawsuit was for slandering, I would assume, right?
And federal judge just said I couldn't prove that they did it on purpose, which I disagree, but I didn't win.
That's very interesting. Yeah. So just chugging along, what got you into politics? Like, because you were doing great beforehand, like with FCA and everything. Why step into a political, especially after the whole Sports Illustrated, it didn't help you or your name, but you still decided to step into the spotlight of politics. Why? How come?
Our son, your coach in ninth grade, and I used to drive the bus for you guys, and tape your ankles and stuff.
Absolutely.
But we went down in 2017 was the teacher walkout. And really wasn't a walkout because they had permission. But the teachers went down to the state capitol. And I went down there and I noticed that some of the representatives had signs on the door that said, "Stay out, you're not wanted." Would slam the door, and some of the teachers were jerks, but most of the teachers, just wanted a pay raise.
Right, everyone can be a jerk. So,
yeah, that's true.
Especially when you're under stress, like
now, not Stillwater teachers, but other teachers.
Right, I understand.
And I noticed. I kept saying to myself, if I was here, I would listen to people, even if I disagree. I would still listen to you. And 2018 came along. I'm trying to remember exactly. No,
Corey Williams' term
Corey Williams was up, and so I just decided that I would run. I had some encouragement from my wife. She said I shouldn't be a wuss, and
that's a good wife.
Yeah, well, she had run 2 years earlier.
Okay,
and the person that she ran against, they put out fake news that she was a bad person. And it really bothered me that we do that in politics.
Right.
And instead of running someone down that you're running against, I think you should run on what you're doing, what you will do.
Don't focus on your opponent, focus on yourself.
Amen.
Right.
Okay.
And so I just said, look, if I run, here's my platform. I will listen to my constituents.
And how do you, while we're right there, how do you reach out to your constituents?
Okay. If you'll read the Stillwater newspaper, Perkins newspaper, Yale, Cushing newspaper, almost every week I put things in the newspaper, a column.
Okay.
And it says, here's what's going on. Here's what to look out for. Here's what you should get involved in. And then and you should do this.
Okay.
Send me your email, and we'll put you on the list. So, like this week, we sent out, hey, what do you think about, because a senator has a bill out there that says anyone 21 that gets their concealed carry license should be able to carry a gun into the classroom at OSU. And I said, how do you feel? And man, we got almost 100 people writing back already in 2 days. So we have about 600 on our email list from District 33.
But not yourself reads all these emails, or do you yourself?
Oh, yeah, I read every email.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because I know you have secretaries or whatnot to help you as well because you're a
Right.
busy man. But
Right.
I wasn't sure. That's awesome that you actually do sit down and read every single email and hear the people.
I want to know what you think.
Yeah,
And then I get back to you.
That's awesome.
And so if you said, John, this is a dumb idea, I would say why or thank you or something, you know. I would let you know I listened to you.
What issues does District 33 have that you want to improve?
Okay, so one guy said that that rides bicycles like 1,000 miles a week, rides bicycles. He's about 65. I think he's my age. He said, I wish that we would make Route 66 a bicycle tourist trail.
That'd be
And so that's one of my bills because it's from a constituent that wants, and so I've called Oklahoma Department of Transportation. He's going to put it out there to, did you know we have about 10,000 bicyclers in Oklahoma that ride hundreds of miles each week?
I was not aware of that.
Me neither. Okay, so that's one. And he lives about,
when I think
I don't know, a mile from you right now.
When I think about bicycling, I think of the Pacific Northwest because that's more
Sure.
of a eco-green friendly area, and
Right.
I'm not. Oklahoma's just known for oil and gas, so big trucks, whatnot. So that's very interesting that we have over 10,000 people that ride bikes.
And we have the longest stretch. I didn't know if you knew this. We have the longest stretch of Route 66 in the United States.
Correct. Yes.
And so it goes from Chicago down all the way through Oklahoma, and then goes. Well,
it parallels I-40 now, right?
yes,
Okay. Yeah.
pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
But it's just huge. So that's one of them. Another guy called me and he said, "I'm a falconer," and I was like, "What?" And he said, "I raise falcons." I said, "Oh, okay. What do you need?" He said, "We want to hunt squirrels year round. It's their favorite meal."
I knew where this was going when you mentioned that because I'm a hunter,
Oh,
fisherman,
okay.
and I do look at the regulations, and I saw a season for falconry, and I was like, what does that mean?
Right.
Like I don't know what that means, so I had to look it up, and it's literally you can goose hunt, duck hunt, and rabbit hunt, and squirrel hunt with falcons.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. I didn't know that, but it's like a 1 week open season.
Yeah, it's
for
not
it.
very long.
It's not, and I would think it need to be a little longer because the falcon needs to stretch its wings and get
Right.
more out there. So that's interesting. He actually approached you about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he lives out by our son, Saul.
Okay.
And he said there are 40 falconers in Oklahoma. Could we hunt squirrels year round? I don't know. So,
I want to see why not.
well, and used to, when I was a kid growing up, people would hunt squirrels in squirrel season and eat them.
Right. Yeah.
And use their skin.
Mm-hmm.
Not that many people do that anymore.
No.
And so I contacted Department of Wildlife, and they said, that's not a bad idea.
Right.
So we started working on this bill, and we actually passed it out of the House last year. But
So it's
the
waiting.
COVID made it die.
So is it waiting? Is it waiting for Senate?
No,
to-
you have to bring it back up.
Really?
Yeah. In Oklahoma, our sessions last 2 years. So this is the 58th session of the House of Representatives. So it lasts this year and next year. So if I had a bill right now that didn't make it out of committee, then I could bring it back up next year.
Okay.
If it doesn't make it next year, it dies. Okay?
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm teaching you about, you wanted to know
Yeah,
about
yeah,
government.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, so we wrote this only, what we're going to do is, a long time ago, people made a law against fur-bearing animals that the Department of Wildlife would be in control of hunting.
Okay.
And that's something that is kind of crazy.
I
When
like
a-
how you mentioned fur bearer. I'm a fur trapper as well. I love fur
okay.
trapping, and I have here's I want to bring this up just real quick. Like, I don't like how we can only use offset double spring footholds. Up in Minnesota or in the north where I got a lot of my fur traps from my uncle because I told him I was interested, and that's what he does during the winter times. He gave me conibears, which are square, basically have a trigger in the middle, and the animal walks in and it snaps down on their neck. It's a very humane, very quick way to end life.
And you can't use those?
You're not allowed to. You have to get a permit, a nuisance permit, and and if you do get a nuisance permit for this conibear, they can only be water sets because they're very common for otter and beaver. So I was like, I understand, but can we possibly just use them? I don't have any problem using them as water sets, but I don't want to go through the whole nuisance and getting my license, and because it's more extra money when I'm already paying for a fur trapping and a fur harvesting license.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, like, it. Also, I'm not a fan of going up to an animal that's trapped in a leg hold and popping it. Like, I don't go after raccoons anymore or really any land creatures. Like, if they're like water, like beaver and otter, and I can use a conibear, I don't feel as bad, because they're already gone in the water, and you just pick them up, open your trap, set your trap again, and take whatever you have. So that's just my opinion. I like more humane ways of trapping, I guess.
Good questions. I don't know. I'm on the committee, but I can ask.
Right.
And I can give you the number of the liaison, Corey.
Okay.
She will answer any question or get you an answer to any question.
No, I understand. Like, I believe the reason is because, like, a lot of states do require a class for these because they are dangerous. Like, I have gotten my hand trapped in these traps, and they can snap your hand because they're coming down with pressure. Right. But, like, if we could do a class, teach our younger youth and even my age or your age about conibear traps and how to set them properly, be careful with them, and, they're only for water, water sets, then, because I understand you have, like, dogs and cats. If you set those on land, obviously you don't want that. There's dog-proof traps too.
Right.
So, like, it's just, like, my concern is, like, it'd be easier for trappers to get their furs, which fur prices aren't good at all.
No, they're terrible right now.
Yeah, so fur trapping isn't really a profession. It's more of a hobby for me, and I'll tan it and everything, but I usually keep my furs, and I've been holding on to some furs just because, like, it's not worth selling.
Sure.
I
didn't know anything about fur trapping, but when I became a youth pastor, there were 4 kids in the youth group, and that's all they did. And back then, it was $100 for a coyote skin. And these 4 guys in 1 year bought a $10,000 truck that they shared because of beavers and, otters, mink.
So last time I checked, beaver was at $8.
Yeah.
Coyote used to be $25, which was a lot, and now I believe it dropped to $15.
Yeah.
Raccoon is like $2.25 a pelt.
It's not worth your time.
If you set so a trap line here in the state of Oklahoma, you can only have 20 traps on the line, and so if you set 20 and you get all 20 set, and you have your traps or your critters in there, you're wasting more gas to go out there and to do the work than you're actually going to get paid off. Right. So it's more of a hobby than anything else for now. And hopefully maybe one day furs may come back, but also, the anti-fur industry has kind of killed that as well.
Right. Yep. And that's what killed the price. So you take these bills, and next week starts the committee meetings. So, like, I believe I'm going to go in front of the Wildlife Committee next week and say, here's my bill. Do you think it's a good idea? There's 8 of us that will vote yes or no, and then if it passes out of there, it comes up on the floor of the House. And then I'll present it to the whole House, 101 people. If it passes off there, then it goes to the Senate.
Okay.
And then I have a Senate author.
But what kills a bill to make you come back to it? Like you said, you did a bill before COVID and it died.
Right.
Well, obviously, COVID was probably the main source of killing that bill, because of not being in session. So what else could kill a bill?
Well, they could vote it down. Or
Okay.
it could,
Okay.
in committee, if I didn't get enough votes to get out of committee,
It wouldn't even go.
it wouldn't go
I
anywhere.
got you. Okay.
It gets up on the House floor and it gets voted down.
You
It
have
would kill it.
Reapproach it a different way, or
Right.
okay, I got you. Okay.
Now it can go to the Senate, and the Senate committee can kill it.
Right.
It's got to pass through the Senate committee, then on the floor of the Senate, and then if it passes those two, then it goes to. And so I think our founding fathers were trying to say, let's don't make a million laws. Let's make it hard to make a law.
I was just actually about to ask you why so many steps, and you just answered that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it goes to the governor, and he can kill it.
He can veto it,
Yeah.
right? Now, there is a way to stop the governor from vetoing it, right?
Well-
or do you just repeat the whole process again?
Okay, so it goes to the governor,
Right.
and he vetoes it. So it's not going to be a law.
But
Okay, it can come back to the. I'm trying to answer.
No, go ahead.
It can come back to the House, and we can override his veto, which
Okay.
we did 7 last year.
Okay.
He vetoed the budget that we gave him. He vetoed it and said, "We're not going to pass this." It came back to us, and we passed it.
Okay, I was about to say because I mean, like, if you guys are listening to the constituents, and our governor isn't necessarily listening to our voice, and he vetoes our voice, I was wondering, do you have to start all the way over, or is there a way? Okay,
There's a way to override.
okay,
It doesn't happen very often because most people don't want to make the governor upset.
Right.
But it was a good budget. I mean, we were in a hurting situation with the COVID. We didn't know where we
was
were
that the first stimulus package kind of for our state?
It hadn't happened yet.
Okay, got
Right
you.
after that, we got the stimulus package.
Gotcha. Because I know there's been issues with the stimulus package, like being passed for just the state of Oklahoma, because either it's not being handed out correctly or it's not going to everyone because people are having issues on getting their stimulus
Right.
still. So, and that's up to the state. The federal government gives us a certain amount to our state government, and then our state government has to figure out how to pass it around.
Right. Well, you got 2 things going. One, did you get a stimulus check for $600?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So that comes directly to you from the federal government.
Okay.
Then the state also gets money, and it says, okay, this could be for schools, this could be for businesses, this could be for
Okay.
propping up somewhere
for
where.
small businesses.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, so there was 2 separate things. there.
Okay, got you. Explain how our state government works, because not every state government is the same. Nebraska, for instance, is a I'm gonna screw this word up, Malachi.
Unicameral.
Unicameral.
And I only know that because Saul's sister, Grace, our daughter, is in Nebraska.
Okay.
And she worked as an attorney for the Secretary of State.
And we're a
Cameral.
bicameral.
Right. So we have a House of Representatives like the National, and we have a Senate like the National. Up there, you run, and if you win, they just have one. It's kind of a combination of a House and a Senate. And so they only have, I think
40,
they have
49.
49.
I just looked it up.
That represents, now you got to remember, they only have 1.9 million people.
It's not a big population, correct?
Right. So that may work for them. They have the same land size, but not the same amount of people. We have twice as many people as they do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in Oklahoma, you're supposed to have anywhere from 37 to 38,000 people that you're representing.
Okay.
So like Oklahoma City has 5 representatives because it's so big.
Right.
So they divided it all up. Edmond has 2 or 3.
Tulsa's pretty big too. So
And Tulsa has 4 or 5.
okay.
And then each little area around Tulsa has one.
So is a district kind of like a state then? Like just kind of comparing it to the federal government. So like we have state representatives that go to T.C. to represent us. Are you kind of basically like that for us? Okay.
Only, yeah,
For the district.
for the district.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clear that. Just bill-wise, has recreational marijuana been brought up for the state of Oklahoma?
Well,
we're in medical right now. I understand that, but
and it's talked about all the time.
okay. And what were the opinions or the views on that?
I've heard both. Let's don't have it, but I personally think a lot of people have gotten the medical marijuana card
Right.
and use it recreationally, and not. I mean, I think marijuana is good for people who have back trouble,
Right.
headaches, glaucoma, epilepsy.
Right.
So I mean,
You believe in the medical
yes,
part, but recreationally wise, not necessarily. I'm not trying to put
no.
words in your mouth.
I don't have a
apologize.
problem with it recreationally. It's like alcohol.
Right.
People can abuse it.
Nicotine. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you and people are using it anyway.
Right.
So I'd say, hey, we're at a point now where we have so much medical marijuana, we ought to make it legal so that we can tax it.
That's where I was going to go. It would help the state even more going recreationally. I mean, we're making a lot. Like, I think we racked in for last year like millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah. I think it was 49 million.
I was going to say 3.9, so I'm glad I didn't give any numbers.
I think it was more than that. So.
But they could double with recreational.
Oh yeah,
and as long as you tax it, I mean, now we don't have to pay a federal tax from the state, right, for taking in that medical or the medical marijuana.
You know what? I don't know.
I believe the federal government doesn't see it as a legal drug.
Oh, it's not yet.
So,
and that's why, if you were growing marijuana and selling it,
right,
they pay you in cash.
Correct.
Okay, there's no, you can't use a credit card.
Right.
Can't use a check.
You can use a debit card, I think.
That makes sense.
That comes straight from your bank account.
Right.
So, right.
That it's a cash transaction.
Exactly.
We don't have any banks because they're covered by federal law. So if you go down to Oklahoma City, people bring backpacks full of cash and deposit it in the state treasury. So right now, that's what we're doing.
Wow.
And so it's really interesting. And they have bodyguards with them and stuff.
That'd be nerve-wracking, but that's very interesting. So it goes to the treasury instead of any bank.
Right.
There's not one bank in the state of Oklahoma that would take...
Not that I know of.
Most of them run off of the federal government.
Right.
Really? Okay.
Well, they're FDIC approved and protected.
Okay.
And so if your money, if that bank went under and you had cash in there from marijuana, they wouldn't guarantee it.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. Just chugging right along. I want to get into the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Will Oklahoma? I just read an article recently about sheriffs making their counties a sovereign nation for the Second Amendment. Will Oklahoma be a sovereign state for the Second Amendment?
And I don't know exactly what that means.
So,
we have a lot of laws that make a lot of things legal with guns.
Right. So, to my understanding, what I read, the sheriff said he will back the people with the guns. Like, he's not going to necessarily listen to the federal government. Like, he's not going to go out and arrest people because they have guns or make them pay because they have guns. And I was just wondering, will Oklahoma become that sovereign state where, like, instance, our current president is thinking about taxing our guns, but for example, Billy Bob Thornton out in the country has multiple guns because he lives in the country. He's defending his cattle from, coyotes. And if he has to be taxed for each and every single gun, he doesn't make a lot of money already. Is that fair? No. I don't think in my opinion.
He's already paid for it. Right. Already paid taxes.
And like sovereignty would protect the people here in Oklahoma from having to do that. Would that be... is that overstep?
If you make a law that's overshadows a federal law, you're going to get in trouble at some point.
Well, Texas has somewhat.
Well, you can say all you want.
Okay.
You can pass a law like that,
but it's not necessarily.
Yeah, it hasn't gone to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
I don't see. I thought I heard Biden say that he was going to get the guns by saying, hey, I'll buy your gun from you. I'll give you $1,000 for your AR-15.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way on God's green earth that they are going to come around and try to take your gun or tax your gun. You've already been taxed for it. But I could see our state trying to do the sovereign thing. It's just you're trying to make a law that's stronger than the federal law. And the federal laws supersede the state laws, supposedly.
But are they? Should it?
So,
Oh, I'm not saying it should.
Okay,
I'm just
no,
saying.
I got you.
let me share with you real quick. I just typed it up. It's recognized as a Second Amendment sanctuary, and that's where you're able to, as either a locality, city, or state, be able to purport or prohibit or impede the enforcement of certain gun control measures through the federal government by utilizing other laws that are already currently in place to help protect those people from that. So it's a sanctuary law kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
And I think it'll pass. And I'm just saying, you're saying that our judge, our county commissioners or our sheriffs can make a law that's stronger than the federal government.
Well, not necessarily strong. Like the article I read about the sheriff, he said, I can't go against or like fight against the federal government, obviously, but I'm not necessarily going to push the federal government's will onto you. Like I'm kind of breaking the law, but I'm not. Like I'm not going to come because local police or local law enforcement would probably be the first step of coming to your door and taking your guns. Right. And the sheriff that I think it was Pawnee County or something, that sheriff said, I'm not going to do that. Like, I can't control the law, but I'm not going to enforce the law.
Yeah, yeah. And that's probably what would have to happen.
Okay.
And that's really, if you think about it, that's what's happened with marijuana. It's still federally illegal.
Correct.
But Colorado and Arizona and California and us have said, we're still going to make medical marijuana legal. And then I think in Colorado and California, recreational is legal now.
Right, correct.
Well, how can the federal government come in and arrest 1 million people? They're not going to do it. Right. So we need, and they think the Democrats will do this, make marijuana not a class 1 substance.
Interesting.
Leave heroin and LSD and PCP and those things as a class 1 substance, but not marijuana.
While you brought up LSD and heroin and all that, what is your opinion on the Oregon's new bill doing misdemeanors or like lowering the punishment on all drugs, basically? And
that's what Oklahoma did 2 years ago.
Okay.
Or 3 years ago. It's right before I got in.
Okay.
They did that, and so it makes it hard, though, because you arrest somebody for having 5 marijuana sticks.
Right.
It's a misdemeanor. It's the same thing for heroin. Okay, and so I think we're going to pass a law this year that leaves marijuana as a misdemeanor, but the other drugs, LSD and stuff, raise it back up to a felony.
Interesting. Okay. I just was curious, like, because it's kind of a good idea. At the same time, I don't necessarily agree with it's not legalizing, but just turning everything down to a misdemeanor, because I feel like it would help Oregon's economy because the drugs there aren't necessarily going to come out of like Mexico or out of state. But at the same time, you're kind of building people to go, or kind of not encouraging, but you're just saying, yeah, do whatever you want, and it's not really punishable. Like, right. And obviously heroin, meth, coke, all those are not healthy for your body. Right. Doctors have definitely said they're not healthy. Right. Now that it's proven that marijuana does help in a way, I believe right now Colorado is doing a study, maybe it's even Oregon too, doing a study that about mushrooms. And for PTSD, like veterans and whatnot, it helps stimulate their, what's the word I'm looking for, Malachi? The
serotonin.
Serotonin, that's exactly, yeah. It helps with their serotonin levels and makes them not as edgy as it was before. Sure. So, like, that's my opinion, but, like, yeah, meth needs to be illegal.
I could see that. You always got the problem, and so for some old people like me, I've heard representatives that are old like me say, the reason why we have a teenage pregnancy problem is because we talk about it. If we never talked about it, we wouldn't have that problem. Well, that's dumb.
Right.
We need to talk about everything and get it out on the table and say, okay, we've got an abortion problem. There are kids that use abortion as a birth control.
Right.
That's terrible. We've got enough kinds of birth control that we don't need abortion, but people aren't taking care of being personally responsible.
Yeah, I was like, it takes two people to make a child, and
Yeah.
I don't like to say this, like it's kind of fits the crime. Have the child, you can put it up for adoption, but don't snuff out life. That child didn't
And I
do
understand
anything.
that, but how come we don't get on to boys to help pay for that?
No, you are right. Yeah, you're right. I
You
didn't
know,
think
the
about
girl takes all the blame. You know, she's carrying that baby, and so it's a tough situation.
that is a tough. That's wow.
And some of the abolitionists right now are saying any form of birth control is a form of abortion. What do you do if someone got raped? Would you want them to have a baby? To me, I want them to have the opportunity, the choice to make.
Okay.
Especially if it's a family member.
Yeah.
Because my wife had a kid that was pregnant and she was 14 by the stepfather.
Ooh.
There's no easy answer. Anytime sex is involved, it can be messy.
Yeah. Right. Definitely right. Wow.
And any life that you lose from abortion is bad. But I know a girl that had a tubal pregnancy.
What?
A tubal pregnancy. She got the baby is forming
In her tubes?
in her fallopian tubes. Well, it's going to bust and her bleed to death. Well, there's some abolitionists that think that that's a form of abortion. Ouch. And so
that's extreme.
That's going to take the mother's life and the baby.
Yeah. If you can save one or the other, I would. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And those tough decisions are made quite often in a hospital. Whether,
Right.
like the father having to make a decision on whether or not to try to save the baby or the wife. That's scary stuff.
So I guess sometimes what I'm trying to say is there's a new country song by Tim McGraw and Tyler Hubbard.
Okay.
And it says something like, and I wish people would listen to it. It's called United. And he says, why does everybody think it has to be black or white? Why does it have to be, if you don't have a job, you should go to jail? If you're not in church, you should go to hell.
Right.
Everything isn't that easy. There's a lot of messiness in living.
Right.
And so I really like that song. You guys should listen to it.
I definitely want to.
Yeah, I'll definitely go check that out. For legal purposes, we can't pull it up because it's on YouTube.
No, I'm just saying.
I definitely.
I would like
the words to it are really good.
I was just thinking about it because of some psychology purposes. I would like to see what kind of increase in drug usage happened in Oklahoma after that bill passed 2 or 3 years ago. Because there's a thing that I was looking into called negative reinforcement. I know a lot of people know about it, but parents know about it even more. And we've been coming to a certain stage where it's like, well, maybe it's not just children. Maybe if you tell somebody that this is a felony charge, it's for some reason some people ticks as I feel like breaking the law at this extreme level. So I wonder if it dulled down that type of negative reinforcement, and if the numbers did go down because now it's just a misdemeanor and it's not that edgy anymore, maybe it made an effect. I'm not sure. But I'd like to see those numbers just in case.
Yeah. That's an interesting
before
point.
another move made.
Well, I talked to a lot of district attorneys, and they have said that it hasn't gone down. The heroin, the PCP, the meth, it hasn't gone down. So I haven't looked at the scientific data.
Right.
But their struggle is used to, because meth was a felony, they could get you into counseling. Mm-hmm. They don't want to send you to prison. They want to get you into counseling. Well, now that it's a misdemeanor, they can't force you
to go to counseling,
to get into counseling.
Interesting.
And so that's where they're.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's bad.
Or heroin, or that kind of thing.
So you don't get the help you really need.
Right.
The possibility of making that change. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
I do think we're really working hard on, and that's one of the things I do is I take a lot of college students into prisons, And we do those team building things that you did when you were a kid. You go in there, you sit down, and you do a game, and then you say, okay, what's the point of the game? Communication. Are you going to have to be a good communicator when you get out of here and you want a job? Can you ask for help? Can you, and so, you know, you guys need to come out and see some of the games that we play now. That
are they pretty different than what we did?
They're different games, but same point.
Okay.
Where do you do it all at?
Oh, out at our house, about a mile and a half from here.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Man, I would love to go. Yeah.
And that's where he was talking about the teeter-totter.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to go, Malachi. Definitely.
Awesome. Yes.
And, you know, I was doing this, but you didn't know it. I do a lot of weddings. And I noticed that guys don't always tell the truth. You know, you're sitting in a room like this talking, and you got your girlfriend sitting beside you, and you say, okay, how are you guys going to stay together? How are you going to work this out when you have problems?
Right.
And I don't think we necessarily lie on purpose, but I think we put our best foot forward.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so then you get married, and it's like something happens. She wrecks the car, and you lose it. And she's like, wait, you've never yelled at me like that. You know. So now what I do is they have to come out and ride the teeter-totter.
Before you marry them.
Yeah. and so Lane Taylor from the Green Bay Packers came out.
Lane Taylor.
Yeah, and said, John, would you do the wedding? And I said, you got to do the test. He's like, John, I weigh 350. She weighs 140. I said, you still got to do it. And so you got to make the teeter-totter work. Well, it's 7 feet tall, 25 feet long.
Wow.
And it will scare witness out of you.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had to climb over the bar and sit on the other side with his back to his fiancée. And so then she had to tell him what to do.
Ooh.
Well, so will you listen to your girlfriend? If you want the best kind of relationship, she may have some insight that you don't have. She may see something that you don't see. And so I just got a call from a doctor that's in Ohio, and she wants me to do her wedding. So they're going to come down and.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So you know, you never know.
That's.
Do
Wow.
you know Callie Atkins?
Yes.
Wasn't she about your age?
She was a class ahead of me.
Okay.
Yes. Are you marrying her?
Yeah. Well, no,
okay.
I'm doing her wedding.
Yeah.
I'm already married.
No.
I heard
you
that.
know what I meant. I mean, you're.
I know. I'm
you're
messing
getting,
with you.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Wow,
I'm
that's
going to do
awesome.
hers in Hutchinson, Kansas.
Yep.
Next month.
She's getting married next month.
Yeah.
Wow, that happened fast.
So they came down. So you got to ride the teeter-totter and make it work, because you need balance in your life.
Right.
If you want a great marriage.
I like that.
You have to ride 2 of our horses, and as they're walking, you have to hold hands for 5 minutes. Because if you want a great marriage, you need to be going the same direction at the same speed. And horses want to do 2 things, just like boys. Stop and eat, or stop and poop.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're trying to hold this girl's hand and your horse stops and she keeps going, you'll have to let go. So you got to be in control of your life so you can stay together.
Yes.
So rather than just sit here in this nice place and talk about these things, I want you to experience these things.
Okay.
And so the last one is, and we just did this 2 months ago, we go to Lawton, and you rappel off a cliff 3 times with your fiance.
Okay.
First time, you're side by side and go down.
Okay.
Second time, the guy's blindfolded.
I don't remember that one, but okay.
I've
That wasn't
never-
part of the football
No,
team.
it wasn't.
The football one was we would rappel down with another partner, and then the second time, I think we did it 3 times or so.
Right.
Was you go backwards,
Right.
obviously the same way, and then the other time you go forward.
Right,
But those 2 times you have a partner at the bottom,
right,
and you are trusting them because the rope is around their waist, and they're helping, giving you more slack or whatnot, right?
Yeah, they can. If you started to fall, they pull on the rope and stop.
Exactly. That's the
Okay, so when we do it with couples that want to get married, I take some of the college students because you're going to live your marriage in front of people.
Okay.
So now you're going to prove your communication skill and your trust in front of people you don't know, because they're at the bottom holding the rope.
Right.
And so the second time the guy's blindfolded, third time the girl's blindfolded. Will she listen to you when you have a good idea or whatever?
Right.
And so rather than just sit here in this room and go, okay, when your girlfriend has a good idea, are you going to listen to her? Most people will say yes, and then not do it. I'm going to show you, you better.
Interesting. So like just like repelling wise, like if there's a gap between the wall, like two walls, you would, but you can go right or left. You would tell them to jump right or left instead of kind of crashing into a hole there.
Right.
So, yeah.
You got to tell them each step of the way.
You're guiding them down.
You're guiding them.
That's interesting. Yeah, Malachi, we got to do something like this, dude. We got to get out there. That's awesome.
It sounds fun. I've never rappelled, and to think that you would do it blindfolded when you've never done it, it'd be...
Well, the thing is, I let you practice, and you start about this high as this ceiling.
Okay.
Oh. So you get good technique.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You learn how to do it. Now, can you tell someone how to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, and the crazier thing is you made us make our own harnesses. You didn't have harnesses. We he showed us with the rappelling rope that how to tie it and everything. And he's like, you trust yourself on this one. Yeah. Like you're here, like he obviously checks us, makes sure obviously, but it's all about us learning from you how to do it. And then we wrap the rope around our legs and waist, or and then you come up, check us. You're like, you're safe. Right. That was the reassuring thing to me, because I was like, I'm a moron. I can't do this. I'm like, what am I doing?
I got an ape brain.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I want you to learn is to be responsible for yourself.
Okay.
Too many times when you ask somebody something, it's not their fault.
Right.
I'll have football players come to me and go, I got a speeding ticket. Well, what were you doing? Well, it was the policeman who picked me up. You weren't doing anything wrong,
right?
And I just remember as a kid growing up back in the 60s, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but...
No, I've never seen the 60s.
Yeah. Back then when you were playing basketball, if you fouled and the ref called your number, you had to step away from the group and raise your hand.
I've seen that. I've seen that even in today's
I admit, it's my fault.
Right.
And we don't do that.
I've seen it here and there in sports still, but yeah, okay, I get
not,
it.
Not
in real life.
If you didn't do it in a basketball game and the ref called you twice, you got a technical and had to sit out.
Wow.
You see, and a lot of the times when you see that in the NBA, if you pay attention, they normally got drafted from out of our country. They're from out of a country, and they actually still utilize that law.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so whenever you see people do it, I still see it in NBA, but most of the time it's like Luka Doncic and a bunch of other people who aren't raised and played the game in the United States.
Like De Niro, Gallinari, all the Europeans.
To me, sometimes if somebody says, "Is that your fault?" in my head, I'm going, "Yep, it's me.
It's me.
I did it."
See, an American players, I'm not making fun of them, but because they're all great players, but they'll argue with the ref before raising their hand, being like, "Yeah, I did it."
Hey, I didn't hit him that hard in the face with my elbow,
right?
And they'll show you doing it.
You'll watch the replay. Like,
no, they still shake their head no, and you're like, what?
Or not even pay attention to up there. They just go and start arguing with the ref the whole time.
So I think that's part of our problem in the world today is not taking responsibility.
Not owning up to your responsibilities.
Right.
Okay. Gearing back into politics, explain how many times can you run for your seat?
Oh, okay. In Oklahoma, we have 12 years.
Okay.
So for a senator, they run a 4-year term. So they could run 3 times.
Okay.
For me, I could run 6 times.
So you get 2 years.
Yeah, we do 2 years for representatives.
Okay, that's very interesting.
The governor has 4 years, and he can only do it twice, like the president.
Like the president, right.
Yeah.
And the Senate does have a term limit here?
Yes.
Okay.
12 years.
And the House, both have. Do you think it should be a shorter term limit? I've heard it. Ted Cruz mentioned for our federal government that there should be term limits because there have been people in our federal government there since the Reagan administration.
Probably before that.
Yeah,
I know some have been there 50 years.
Right. And should there be a cap on it? That's just my opinion because I believe I'm looking at our federal government. I'm like, why aren't we getting younger people inside our government? I think the youth has great ideas.
You bet.
So why not? Why are we holding on to older beliefs?
Right.
You know?
Well, partly people don't get out and vote.
Okay.
And if you don't like that your guy's 100 years old and vote against him.
Right.
Vote for the other person because they're young or whatever. I do think there should be national term limits.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. It seems like to me 12 years may be too short in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Not that I want to do this.
Right.
But maybe 16 or 20, only because in 12 years, I mean, seriously, the last 2 years I was in, I just learned what to do. Well, what if somebody beat me and I'm out?
Right.
They're new, and then somebody beats them.
So it's just a repeat learning, and nothing's getting done.
Right.
Got you.
So I would think 20, 24 years for a national, something like that.
Okay.
I don't think our founding fathers ever thought we would get in it and do it forever. I don't want to do it forever.
Okay, that's where I was gonna actually gear up. Do you plan on doing for Senate or for?
No, never for Senate. It's too far away from people. Tom Duggar is our senator for this area,
right?
And he's over Trisha's area and my area, so he has 80,000 people in his area. I have 38,000,
and
that's a lot.
You can still reach to the 38,000 though.
Better than you can 80.
Right.
Still tough.
So that answers my next question. You probably wouldn't run for state representative in D.C.
No, I don't want to leave. I like rural Oklahoma. Hunters, fishermen, cattlemen. I love that.
I think you'd be okay in the Senate or in the House of Representatives in our federal government, though. I think.
Well, thank you.
I'd wave at you every time I said, "That's our guy."
Yeah.
I don't want to get that far away. I mean, to me, it's like coaching. I would rather be an assistant coach who gets to work with the players
themselves
than be the head coach who coaches the coaches. Now, in junior high, we don't have the money to have that many coaches, but I get to help Coach Gundy. And I asked a lot of the assistant coaches. I asked one assistant coach last year. We do a Bible study every week. And one of the coaches, I said, what's the best thing you ever learned from a player? And he said, John, I do an interview with my players. And one of them said, Coach, how come you didn't coach me like you recruited me? And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when you were recruiting me, I got a text every day. I got emails. My parents got birthday presents, stuff they could do legally. He said, I came here to play for you, and I bet you didn't say hi to me 3 times in 4 years.
Wow.
And that coach said, it changed my life. He said, I didn't mean to do that,
right?
But I did it. And he said, it changed me.
That's interesting. So it's you just opened my mind with, I never thought of football or coaches kind of as the political foundation as well. Like the head coach is the president somewhat, and then the the assistant coaches are the representatives, and then you have the players as the constituents, basically.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. I never thought of it that way. A lot of stuff is based off kind of that foundation. Wow.
Sure,
I never realized that. So, are you going to try to stay for 12 years?
I don't want to say that. Okay. I want to say two things. One, when I am driving to the city every day, I like to sleep with my wife, so I drive home every day. And people are like, are you serious? I say, yeah, I love sleeping in my bed with my wife, so I'm going to drive home. But when I drive to the Capitol and I make that corner to drive down Lincoln, and I see that Capitol, And I'm like, dang, I got an office in there. And it excites me to be there.
It makes you proud.
I want to keep going.
Right.
And the other is, are my constituents still reaching out to me? Are they still making phone calls to me? Are they still saying, I need your help on this? What can you do about this? As long as I feel like I'm helping, that's the other thing.
As long as you're helping, you want, I don't want to say stay, but you want to continue the path and help people. That's your main concern. If you're not helping people, then...
Right. I need to get out of the way.
Right. Okay.
So is that one more term? Is that two more? I don't know.
So you're up for a re-election.
I just got reelected.
You just got, so you're going to be here till
2022.
22. Okay.
2022, in April, I have to decide. And then you'll run 23, 24.
So you were elected 1920, which was your first 2 years. And now, so you got it. You learned.
I'm learning,
You learned your first 2 years.
My gosh.
Are the second 2 years kind of still a learning basis?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Especially about budget. And that's that's something I didn't realize. The only thing a state representative and a state senator has to do is do a budget. Now, we do a lot of other things, but passing the law isn't the number one thing.
Right.
It's doing the budget. And in Oklahoma, we have a balanced budget.
A budget for the district specifically,
no.
or for the state?
For the whole state.
Okay.
And so I'm on 4 committees. I'm on the wildlife committee.
Right.
I'm on the youth and family committee.
Okay.
So DHS, a lot of their laws come through our committee.
Okay.
And so I'm the vice chair of that. Carol Bush, Representative Bush out of Tulsa, is the chair of it. And so I think we're listening to 10 things on Tuesday afternoon. And so a representative will come in and we'll say, okay, he'll hand out his bill. Now, we've already seen it. Mm-hmm. I've already read them. And he'll say, I want to present this bill. What does your bill do? It does this, 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 and this. Well, what about this? Well, that's a good idea. I'll add it to it. Mm-hmm. So we can change it in there.
Okay.
Oh, wow. And so there's, in our committee, we have 6. In the, I'm not on that committee anymore, the Common Education Committee, they changed from 10 to 14. So there's 14 people sitting around tables, and they're going, okay, why do you want to do that? Who asked you to run this bill? How is this bill going to help? How is this bill going to hurt? So you chew up that bill. And then if it's good, you pass it. If it's not, you say, we vote it down.
Okay.
Is this broadcasted anywhere? Is it
yes,
available?
It is. Yes. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
You would ask me that. My secretary, my LA, can send you how to watch.
Okay.
You can watch the Senate ones. You can watch. Now ours are live streamed.
Okay.
The Senate, they already do it, and you go back and watch it, whatever that's called.
Because they have to keep it behind closed doors first, right? And then,
no, it's all open.
Yeah, it's supposed
to. And you can even watch. When I first won back in 2019, my wife broke her foot. And so she watched every day, everything we did. And she would text me and she'd go, sit up. I'm like, what? Hey, straighten your tie, And I'm like, where is it?
Camera spotting you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Get off your phone.
Oklahoma has a Supreme Court as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And how many are in the Supreme Court? Is it 9? Like the federal or?
I don't think there's that many. We also have a Court of Criminal Appeals.
Okay.
So if you got in district court here in Payne County, if you wanted to appeal it, it could appeal to the Court of Criminal Appeals.
Now, what's the difference from that to the Supreme Court justice? Or not to the the state of Oklahoma's Supreme Court.
Okay, so who taught you civics? Government. It was Saul.
Yeah, it was.
How old are you?
I'm 25 now.
Okay, and what year were you in the 9th grade? You were probably 14.
2009, 2010.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, you learned about government. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was in government in 1969.
Okay.
So 55 years ago.
Right.
So I don't know it all, and that's part of learning.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. the state Supreme Court of Oklahoma heard a bill the other day, the House of Representatives sued the governor over him making laws, making deals with the Indian tribes without us being part of it.
Interesting.
And the state Supreme Court said, you can't do it. You got to involve the Senate and the House. So that's the kind of stuff they do. Okay. And I want to say there's 6 of them, but I'm not for sure.
It's interesting that there's 6, so that could be trouble there because, like, with our Supreme Court, we have 9.
Right.
Because 4 could vote one way, 4 could vote the other way. You have that one vote that could swing it. You have a swing vote. So if we have 6, it'd be...
And maybe there's 5. I don't know.
Right, no, but I was just saying...
There's 9.
There
are 9. Okay, so that would... Okay.
I met who's the, whatever you call the main one on Oklahoma. Oh. Does it say?
Let me see real quick.
I think it's a lady. I met a lady the other day that's on the state Supreme Court. When Governor Stitt spoke the other day, there were 3 judges that came.
Well, the most recent one, I believe, is Richard B. Darby.
Okay. He was there in a wheelchair. And I don't know what happened to him, but I just noticed he was sitting there in a wheelchair.
Interesting. Okay. So we have 9 Supreme Court justices here in Oklahoma, just like our federal government. Wow. So the only really difference is we have term limits for our politicians here. We have term limit on our governor, which is 2 terms, 4 years. Right. So 8 total. 12 years for our House or Senate.
Right.
So you could do 6 years in the House and 6 years in the Senate.
You couldn't because, remember, there are 4 in the... So if I was going to try to be a senator, which I'm not,
right.
I would want to get out...
Now.
Next year.
Yeah.
You know, and then I could have 2 terms.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
Something like that.
No, cumulatively 12 years. So you just got to do some math.
Cumulatively.
Right. Okay. Cumulative. Yeah, big word there.
Yeah. We don't say big words on here, Malachi.
One of the things I wish you'd talk about a little bit is the criminal justice stuff that we're trying to do.
Go.
Well, like, for example, 4 years ago, you could have gotten thrown in jail for having like 6 marijuana cigarettes.
Right.
Okay. For 10 years. And now it's a misdemeanor. So we still have people in jail. I had 6 people that want to help prisoners, inmates get out.
And for the misdemeanor, because they were charged before the bill was passed with the misdemeanors now. But should it fall under them as well?
Right. Should it be retroactive?
Got you.
And I don't know, but that's something the governor's working on. Okay. And I'm really proud of him for that. But there were 6 people in my office last Monday, a week ago, 4 days ago. And they were like, we need to help more inmates. And they said that the parole officers will listen to you and then go, nope, you're not getting out. And they said they're breaking the law because the law says we've got to give you a plan to get out.
And they're not doing it.
And they're not doing it. Well, come to find out, that passed last year in the House, but because of COVID, it died. And so it's coming back up. So I sent them that and said, hey, you guys are wrong. That didn't go to the governor and get signed yet. It will probably.
Okay. So
you go before the Pardon and Parole Board and they go, okay, you're not getting out, but here's what you can do. You know, go to anger management, get a certificate in
basically therapy, rehabilitation.
Right. And so that way, the next time you come back, we're going to go, yes, you're done. You send me a certificate of all these things, you can get out. And I think that's the right approach.
That's kind of like my DUI. I got a DUI back in 2017. And to get your driver's license back, you have to take a DUI class, a victims class, where you sit down and you hear someone that was the DUI or was the drunk driver and took someone's life. And you learn all about that. And then the other one was a class where you basically learn how to not drink and drive. I can't remember the course's name, but it was like a VIP, and all 3 courses you get certificates for it.
Right. And it costs you too.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No. So did you learn your lesson?
Yeah, I don't drink.
Then it was worth it.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Go ahead and drink. Just don't drive.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly.
Or walk in the street.
Yeah.
No.
Sidewalks.
Okay,
but
so
that can still be a public intox too if you're
right.
So,
no, it can. I'm just saying though, you learned your lesson.
Right.
And I think if an inmate didn't get out but knew how to get out, there were steps. It's kind of like the
they deserve a chance.
Right. Now that's the other problem. So let's say you went through all these steps and you get out now. You don't have a driver's license. Mm-hmm. You don't have an ID. So we're passing some laws this year that say, you know what? When you get out, we're going to help you get a driver's license. We're going to help you get an ID so that when you get out there, that's the first thing. You go apply at Walmart, they go, show me an ID.
Right.
Yes.
Well, you don't got one.
Right, because you don't have any money. You don't have, or the ID itself. Like,
right.
That would probably be one of the most beneficial things to these.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Like, when you do get out of prison or jail, you have whatever you went in there with.
Right.
You know, and maybe it's not a lot.
And you owe lots of money.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is, one of my friends that's been in, he was an OSU football player. He was in 17 years. When he got out, he had to start paying back Tulsa County Jail. Mm-hmm. He owed $6,000 because every time you're moved to a new county jail, they can charge you. So he owed in Tulsa County, Oklahoma City, and Payne County, like $20,000.
It's booking fees and stuff because it's booking them in a whole new place, and it's all part of the system. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a problem. He owes money. He doesn't have any ID. He doesn't have a job. So I was talking to Drumright Vocational Technical Center, and I think it's called Technology Center now, but they have a truck driving school.
The IT school.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Not Meridian here in Stillwater,
no, but the oil
Drumright.
Drumright. Yeah.
You can get a driver's certificate to drive trucks across the United States if you can stay off drugs, have a clean urine sample every week, pass their driving school. They will guarantee you $40,000 to $80,000 a year. So, but they don't care if you were a felon or not.
That's for CDL.
CDL.
Okay.
They'll train you. I mean, it's awesome.
That is really cool.
One of my kids from FCA OSU works for a Toro company that bought Ditch Witch in Perry.
Ditch Witch got bought out.
Yeah. Well, a lot of older people kind of passed on and they sold it.
Got you.
Toro has 20 big systems all over the United States.
Okay.
Well, this college student said, you know what? I've been in the prisons. Felons can't get a job here. So they took off the question at the bottom, are you a felon? And so he's already gotten like 5 guys jobs in Wisconsin and Madison, Wisconsin, someplace, Idaho.
Okay.
Okay. So taking them out of there where they had their friends that got them in trouble and putting them someplace else. Wow. But they don't have to answer that question. So I really feel good about the direction we're going. Now, it's just not very fast.
Now, those are other states. Here in Oklahoma, like, has he taken people and put them here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
So the whole point is they took that out of the, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your, they don't ask you, do you have a felony?
Background?
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
And you don't see any of that kind of stuff talked about on news.
No,
you
don't.
It's all about all that other drama stuff, nothing of that.
Right.
So it makes it slower to move probably whenever people aren't aware of what's going on.
My daughter we were talking, I'm sorry I keep doing this.
No, you're perfectly fine.
Oh, okay.
Keep going. This is fine. This is
Our daughter
awesome.
came down from Nebraska, and she graduated from Washburn University Law School. And her best friend, Christy, graduated. Well, she now is over Kansas, where you donate your time as an attorney.
Okay.
And they'll have a 1-day expungement where, you know how that DUI shows up on your record?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I got you.
But some things do show up,
like a felony arrest.
Felony
arrest, you can go get it taken off as the felony charge, but the felony arrest secretly still stays there.
Right. So she wants me to start working with our attorneys in Oklahoma, like OU, TU, and OCU law students, and get them to help get those expunged off people's records, so that when they do a background check, it doesn't show up anymore.
Okay. Is that considered charity? Or
yeah, it is considered charity.
That's awesome.
Because you might not have the money to hire an attorney.
So it's pro bono.
Pro bono. I couldn't think of that word.
I got you. Yeah. I've got a stepbrother that's in law, so I kind of know the law terms. I don't really. There's a reason I became a comedian. I'm not bright, and this is why I have people like you on here to educate me and my viewers and everything about our government. The reason I had you on is because I think everyone is focusing on the federal government way too much, and my idea to have you on was I know nothing about my state government.
Right.
Literally Wednesday or Thursday, I learned that you have 12 years in office. If you, I mean, by 2 years, obviously, but like you have a 12-year limit, and I didn't know that. Yeah. I had no idea because in our Senate and the federal government, I think it's 6 years, and then you can run for re-election.
Right.
And then it's, 4 years or every 2 years?
I thought it was every 2 years for representatives.
It's always 2
years.
Okay, yeah. I stand corrected, but it's yeah.
But senators, it is 6 years, right? In federal.
In federal, yeah.
In federal,
yeah.
Yes.
But it's 4 in Oklahoma.
Right.
You know.
And I didn't I learned that. I didn't know this. And then you talking about the justice system here as well. I'm learning so much, and I love having these conversations.
Well, good. The other thing I wish you would. You can go to the website for the state, and they are really trying to be transparent.
Okay.
So let's say you call me and you say, hey, can I come down and visit? Well, what are you interested in? You're interested in wildlife.
Right.
That committee meeting is at 1 o'clock on Thursday.
Okay.
Come down that morning, watch the big arena,
right?
What happens, and then go to class with me. Go to the committee meeting and see what happens in there, how you talk about, here's this bill, what are you going to, what's the best way to do it?
Interesting. Now, like I said about condom bears, how do I even bring that up, and how do I make it kind of like not necessarily me, but how do I get it into a bill or like into not like condom bears are legal instead of not being illegal and having to...
Here's what I would say. I'm going to give you the phone number to the Wildlife Department. Corey Yeager, the liaison for the government, and you're going to say, hey, I'm a friend of John Talley's. He told me to ask you this question. And the best way to do it's an email. Because it has a paper trail. Mm-hmm. I love emails a lot better than phone calls. Now, I'll answer the phone.
Right, no.
But if you email me and say, what about this?
It also reminds you, too. Like,
yes,
it's right there.
Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. So you email Corey and say, what are the chances of doing something?
Right.
John Talley's my friend. He told me to call you or email you. And she'll get right back to you and say, here's why I've checked with our attorneys. I've checked with the wildlife, whatever. Here's the steps you could take.
Okay.
Here's why we won't do that.
So, like, just an example, if I sent her an email, like, I think condom bears should be legalized to just normal civilians without a nuisance trapping license. How would I go about that? And, like, obviously, they're dangerous traps. I understand this, but I also think we should put classes in there too, so we know how to use these traps correctly. Because a lot of other states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, just the northern states that have thicker furs, they actually require you to take a class before you can even buy traps up there.
Well, see, you could, and let's say she says, okay, talk to John and write a bill. We could put that in the bill.
Okay.
You can use this trap if you take this 3-hour course or 5-hour or whatever it is.
Okay.
So it's, and let's say you don't agree with her. Mm-hmm. You can still have a bill written. You can you can go over their heads.
How do I write a bill? Do I write a bill?
No,
or
you would give me an idea.
Okay.
Say, we want to do this with this trap,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to do this and this and this. I send it downstairs to the attorneys.
Okay.
There's like 6 attorneys that just write the bills. There's 6 people that investigate. So they would send it to the investigators first. Those investigators might be calling those northern states like you're talking about.
Okay.
And
okay.
say,
and
how do you
doing research and
how do you guys do it?
Okay.
Well, is that good? Is that bad? What's the
Gotcha.
best way to do this? If we have to do it, what's the best way to do it?
Okay.
Then they give all that to the attorney. The attorney in wildlife would write it up.
Okay, so the attorney actually writes the bill.
Right.
And then the investigators do the research.
Right.
You're the one that hears the constituents, and you hand it down to the investigators. The investigators do their search. I know I'm repeating myself, but
you're trying to
so
set it in your head.
I go to you, you go to the investigators go to the attorney.
Right.
And bada bing, bada boom, hopefully it turns into a bill that will go through the House.
Right. And then it's got to go to the Senate, and then it goes to the governor.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
I might have to do this.
It
starts with a phone call or
we'll
an
call
email.
it the
email, phone call.
We'll call it the Healy/Conabear.
That would be a lot of people do their names.
Yeah.
Do you, just real quick, do we have a state healthcare plan like Sooner Care, like obviously we have Obamacare.
Right.
Is there anything similar to that for the state of Oklahoma?
Well, you can sign up for Obamacare, which is medical insurance for people, families, people. We have Sooner Care that takes care of 18-year-olds and lower. We are changing, right? I don't know. Yeah.
What was that?
Ghost. I don't know.
Okay.
We are changing some of our medical insurance laws right now. And that's something that the House of Representatives are upset with the governor about the way he did it. The representatives feel like, and most of the senators feel like the way the governor's doing it is going to cost us about $150 million more, which takes away from
other places, such as wildlife. Or,
no, this is just in healthcare.
Okay, my bad.
Just in healthcare, we won't be able to cover as many people if we're paying people to run the medical system.
Okay.
Kevin Stitt did realize that, and he voted against his own bill. That's
interesting.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we do have health care. We just passed the Medicaid law. Okay. Now we're trying to fund it, and he's handing it over to some people out of state. And the legislators and the senators are bothered by that because we wanted to keep it in state so that, we've got to pay for administrative charge.
Right.
In Oklahoma, that administrative charge would have been 4.5% to 5%. This other group's going to charge us 15%.
Oh.
Well, 15% of $1 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So that's the rub there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm learning so much about our government. I love this.
Well, and that's why I'm saying we're out of time, but
right. Yeah. I do appreciate you coming on.
Oh my gosh! Thank you for the opportunity. And it's so good how you grew up.
Do you have anything to promote? Social media? Anything you want to get out there?
I do have Facebook, and the other stuff.
Your email for the.
Okay, my email is john.talley@okhouse.gov.
There you go. If you have any questions or any concerns for our district,
you bet. Or for anything, you don't have to be in my district. I'll answer you back.
I appreciate it, John.
Oh
Thank
my gosh,
you so much.
I appreciate you guys. This was fun,
guys. Thank you.